Hello. In this video, we will see the solution to challenge 8, which is to handle collecting the coins and earning points. So, the first thing I think I'll start with is that variable because we want to remember the amount of coins that the player has collected. How many points have they earned? That's something that's going to carry through the whole game. We definitely want it as a variable or a property somewhere. And I think it fits pretty well as like level num. I think it's kind of comparable to that. So where I say let level num equal 1, right in that space there, I'm going to say let score equal 0. So now I have a variable that can keep track of what that score is. And we'll want to display it somewhere. So inside the game, that's the place where I'd want to display it. So I can make, right where I make the player, this would be a good spot for it too. I'm not going to put it inside the level like that, the tile map with all the letters and everything. I'm just going to drop in a game object right here. So I will say, let's see. So const, kind of like how I made player, const score label equals the add function. Add will add a list of components, so add and then square brackets. And then this is where I say, okay, it's going to be text. So text parens quotes, because I want it to say score. Then a colon and then a space just to make it look nice. Now, if it was always going to be 0, this would be what I'd want it to say. And again, if it was always 0, I could do something like this, like say score colon space and then the number 0. But I want that to be the variable. So if I do it this way, then I will get the text that says that right there. All right, I'm going to position this to be maybe just like 50 pixels to the left, 50 pixels down on the top. Let's just see what that looks like. Okay, so that's what I would get if I did it that way. Now if I set my scale back to probably what I'd end up having in the game, it doesn't really change it that much. So I probably want to think about this just being offset a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. Now the text is still going to be very big and it's going to completely dominate the screen here. So I probably want to set the size of this text down a little bit. So check here. Is it text size, font size? Let's see, text. I could pass in these parameters of what the size is. All right, so that first thing, that's a string that I get, but then I can do comma. And then curly braces to do all the like fine details. So I could set the size to maybe just like 10. Is it 10 points? Yeah, let's see what that does. Okay, so that made it a little bit more like what I was looking for. Okay. All right, so now I do have this label here. I just needed a position element, and that should work. So now that I have this, it's a variable called score label. I can affect that. Now I need to get the event in that moment when the player actually runs into the coin. So that's a collision. So just like I've done, player collides with enemy, player collides with door, all that, I'll do the same thing here. So I'll say player collides is the same idea, right? So I'll use the collides function. Although they did update Kaboom recently to where they would prefer that we start using the name of the function on collide as opposed to collides. So it's called deprecated, the collide. So it's still in there. They're trying to go away from it. So from this point out, I'm going to start using the function named on collide, which really just points back to the same place. All right, so what happens when the player on colliding with quotes coin, comma, and then I'll put an arrow function for, well, what happens when that occurs. So take arrow function. Now I do want a variable for that coin. So I'm going to put C into the parameter here to represent that coin. That way I can say destroy the coin. Double check that that's the way that the destroy function works. You can pass in the variable. All right, so destroy the coin. But then I also want to increase score. So I'll take score, which is another one of my variables. Plus plus just makes it increase by 1. That's the same thing as saying plus equals 1. All right, so see what that does. Can I get those coins to disappear? All right, it says player.onCollide is not a function. I might have the old version of Kaboom imported in here. And I don't know that I'm going to update it necessarily. I think I'll probably stay. It should be the most recent version. Well, let's just go with collides like we had before. So what I just did there was I did name the function collides instead of on collide. Right, so when I run into the coin, they disappear. It doesn't seem like score updates. Now, I will say that the memory on the computer, that variable, did change. We just don't see it changing at all. So what we have to do is go into taking that variable score label, that thing that actually shows us the score, and then saying score label dot text, setting the text equal to that same expression. So quotes score colon space plus score. I had to call this line to update what the text was actually saying for that score label. Right, so I got my score to change when I collected my coin. So that is challenge 8 of getting the coins to collect.